is out and crap. Ah, shit. What? Oh, man. What just happened? It's time to talk about controls. Hey there, everybody. Commander Hoopchi here. Welcome back to my Elite Dangerous training episodes. This will be episode number 2. We're going to talk a little bit about controlling the ship. And if you're not sure what's going on in terms of controlling your ship, hopefully these next 2 or 3 videos, whichever it takes, will help get you to that point. I'm going to try to keep them to 10 or 12 minutes so you can watch the sections you want. But we're going to start with just basic controls of the ship, and initially we're going to talk today about the thumbsticks and the changes that you can make to the thumbsticks in order to make the game, to me, to be more controllable. Now, the game inside the training missions is going to give you some pop-ups to tell you, press X for hard points, Y to target, things like that. We're not going to really talk about that right now. I want to talk about basically the sticks and what the sticks do. So let's start talking, first off, let's just look at the controls itself and see how I have it set up. In terms of what I'm running today, I'm going to be running a custom format, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to switch back to classic context. So if you wanted to, you could switch your controls to classic and follow along, and then I'll show you the changes that I've made in terms of custom that, to me, makes the ship easier to control and more maneuverable. However, your settings may be different. I just want to walk you through what each of these do. So let's go to classic context. We'll apply that. Jump on back into the game. And let's start by talking about the left stick. So in classic context, the left stick, if you pitch the left stick, if you push it forward, that's basically pitching the nose of your ship down. You pull back, that pitches the nose of your ship up. It's just kind of like flying an airplane. If you've flown most flight simulators, that's sort of the way they work. Now if I press left on the D-pad, notice that the ship initially begins to yaw and then spins over into a roll. I'll show you that setting in just a moment, but the same is true if we turn to the right. It begins a small initial yaw and then it rolls like that. So right now I can pretty much control the ship basically and point it in any direction I want using the left stick, and a lot of people fly this way and like it this way. I don't. I'll show you the tweak that I make that I feel like gives me a little bit more maneuverability and control over the ship. But you may prefer this method, and if that's so, a classic context would be a good place to start. Let's aim at my good old buddy right here, Mr. Asteroid. I'm going to call him Bubba, and I'm going to pull up a little bit closer to him just so you can see how the inputs change when I go to the right stick. So let's stop right here. So the right stick now. When I press up on the right stick, I'm basically applying a force of acceleration underneath the ship to cause the ship to go what appears to be, in my frame of reference, up. Now obviously there's no up or down or left or right in space, but from my frame of reference, if the top of my head is up, pressing up on the right stick provides that thrust that causes me to go up. If I pull down on the right stick, I get this downward thrust that makes it feel like I'm going down. Okay. If I press to the left, I get that left thrust. If I press to the right, I get a right thrust. And it takes a few minutes for that to kick in because the ship has to cancel out the initial thrust input and vectors that you put in there. So using a combination of left and right, it's somewhat, easy to, maybe even fly around this asteroid, Mr. Bubba, while just, basically using a combination of inputs, left and right stick, and you can get very close and do what I call peeling the potato here in terms of your inputs on the left and right stick. And you can get pretty good with that in the classic context. So that's kind of what the sticks do in terms of classic context. I'll show you the tweak that I make that I prefer. Let's go back into the options and go to controls. And while we're in here, we'll talk about a few of these things. I'm going to switch it to custom, which is what I use. The dead zones, you'll want to play with those. On your stick, your controller, you may want to actually increase those dead zones a little bit. If you have any kind of stick drift at all and you put it down here, you're going to get inputs into the stick that you really don't want. So you may have to move it up in this area here depending on the size of the dead zone on your stick in order to be comfortable with that. Yaw into roll is a setting that I just leave on initial roll. I kind of like it that way, but there are two settings, off and on low roll. You can play with these, but if you turn it off, it just basically means you press that left stick to the left and you're going to immediately go into a roll rather than have a slight yaw there instead. And of course on low roll you can actually yaw the ship if you just barely press the stick, but I usually use it there. Dead zone. Turn that off for now. We'll have a whole tutorial on flight assist off later. So here's the change that I make. I stick the roll axis, the axis that causes my ship to roll, onto the left and right of my right stick as opposed to the left and right of my left stick. So that means that I'm going to pitch the ship up and down using the left stick, and I'm going to roll the ship left and right using the right stick. Now, with that in mind, I've also changed the yaw axis to be left and right on the left stick now. So how does that look? I'll show you. Let's go back out into the game. Let's resume training. So under my control scheme, I still have pull down on the left stick, I pitch up, push forward, I pitch down. When I press left on the left stick though, I don't have that roll. I've got a yaw going on. And depending on how perfectly I press to the left and right, it could be a perfect yaw or it could not be. So I no longer have the ability to roll with the left stick, but on the right stick, if I push to the left, notice I immediately go into that roll that I normally had on the left stick, and same if I go back the other way. Okay? Using both sticks, to me, I find that to be the best way for me to control my ship in such a way that I know where I'm going if I don't run into any asteroids. To me, that's just become the most comfortable way. But the good thing about this game is that there are multiple ways in which you can set up the controls that will hopefully find something that will suit you. It took me a lot of tinkering with the controls, and I suggest and emphasize that the best thing to do is just come into the first training mission, this first combat mission, where you're supposed to destroy the canisters, and monkey around and play with the controls until you get it to the point where you don't bang into asteroids like I just did. And that may take some time. But with that in mind, let's talk about a couple more options that we have under the control menu, and then we'll stop this video and go into our next video. You do have an option of setting up alternate flight controls. Basically what this means is when you click in on the left stick, you're going to get a different control method. In this case, yaw axis goes to right stick, the roll axis goes back to left stick, and the pitch axis stays on the left stick. Invert, and then lateral thrust, vertical thrust, and all that. Let me show you a little bit about how that looks when we get into it. So we're going to resume training. So right now, if I click in the left stick, you're going to see a message up in the top right hand corner that says activating alternate flight controls. Now I'm using the right stick to provide that lateral thrust, up and down thrust, and I've got the roll back on the left stick in case. Now the reason this comes in handy to me is for landing, docking, sometimes for mining, when I may be mining a certain asteroid and I want to just move up or down or something like that, then I may activate those alternate controls. But really I just pretty much stick with the standard flight controls. To me they seem to be adequate for most scenarios. I even have gotten to the point now where I dock and land and all that in terms of my control set with the standard flight controls. So before we quit this video and go into the face buttons and how to use all the contextual menus and everything that you have access to on the Xbox controller, I do want to talk about the throttle. And to do that, we'll look down here. If you notice the radar there, and we'll have a tutorial about the radar, but the throttle is this thing that's going up and down over here on the right hand side. It's right now set at 42, 43. That's your thrust. And you do that using the right bumpers and left bumper. Now a lot of people don't understand that your best turning radius with your ship is when your thrust bar is in the middle of the blue bar, preferably right in the middle. The higher you go, The wider your turn, the lower you go, the shorter your turn, but you don't have as much thrust, so it actually takes longer. Right in the middle of that blue bar is the sweet spot, and I can show you that just by coming in here and doing a few rolls with it right in the sweet spot. You can see how quickly I can spin that ship around. If I speed up, it's going to increase the radius of the roll and slow that turn radius down quite a bit. Also, if I speed, drop the speed way down, the roll is much slower, but I don't have as much thrust helping me, so I still have a slower roll than I would have if I'm inside the blue. So whenever you're turning to find, enemies, bad guys, or vectoring in on someone to do a ship scan, or landing your ship, whatever the case may be, you're always going to have your best turning radius whenever you have the throttle set in that blue bar, and that can change depending on your engine management system. If you were to pop more of your energy system into your engines like I just did, see the blue bar moves up. You take it out of the engines and put it all in the systems, it moves down. The nice thing is when you adjust that, the blue bar adjusts automatically. You don't have to adjust that when you're in the middle of the heat of battle and you need more pips to your engine, or you want to put more pips to your system to heal your shields, or you want more to your engine because you've decided to cut and run because you're about to get blown to smithereens. So keep that in mind with the throttle. It's very, very important. Hope you enjoyed this video. The next video we'll talk about the face buttons and the contextual options that they apply to, and what we can do inside the menus when we're playing Elite Dangerous. Remember, commanders, fly safe.